Hello my friends, and welcome back to a very exciting Brotato run. Hope you're all doing well. I actually had a different run planned for today and scheduled to go live today, but I'm so excited to bring you this run that I decided to do it as soon as possible, because it's very cool. The reason for that is that we have the Genetically Modified Overkill mod working again in the beta. Credit for this goes to Thomas Morris, who emailed me about this last night. He got the mod working, and in fact improved it, because not only can we do the GMO mod, allowing you to combine two characters into a single character, he's added the 3MO feature, allowing us to combine 3 characters into a single character. Now, of course, I'm really looking forward to doing runs with GMO combinations using the new characters, the baby, the vagabond, the technomage, and the vampire, but today I wanted to do the stupidest possible run. This run has been requested many times as a 2-character combination. But we're going to do it as a 3-character combination, and that is the old combined with the old combined with the old. So this is going to give us minus 75% enemy movement speed and minus 100% map size, 33 plus 33 plus 33. I don't know what that's going to look like when we actually load in, whether it stacks additively or multiplicatively on the minus map size. I'm going to go ahead and random my weapon here just for fun, because I'm very curious to see what will happen. And with the old, we are going to, I guess we're the extremely ancient. We're the guy from Indiana Jones in the process of having drunk from the wrong chalice. We are going to see if we can survive on the tiniest postage stamp of a map. Let's jump into it. Okay, we've got wrench, so we're an engineering build. That'll be cool with the new engineering stuff from the beta, assuming that we can avoid enemies on whatever whatever map we get. We're very slow, but look at this enemy movement. That's so ridiculous. There's also 30% fewer enemies on the field. But enemy movement is going to be extremely slowed for us. We also have a lot of bonus harvesting, so I think this run is going to be very funny. I don't know how difficult or easy it will be, to be honest. I think elites will be our main challenge, because enemies are so slow, but we are going to need the damage to clear enemies on this tiny map before they get to us, because it's going to be hard to dodge in this extremely small area. Let's go ahead and pick harvesting here, and then I'm going to take luck. I do want to build armor and regeneration, defensive stats very early, I think, because it's going to be hard not to tank hits. But I will pick up a couple economy boosts in the early game. Credit again for this goes to Thomas Morris, and I will link the mod in the description, so if you want to try it out for yourself, go try it out. It's working in the beta, which is great. And of course, now that 3-character combinations are an option, definitely let me know your favorite ideas for 3-character combinations in the comments below, because we'll try those out. I'm looking especially for ones that are not like 3 of the same character like this one, because obviously that's very funny and very silly. But I'm really looking for ones that are like 3 different characters that all synergize with one another, because I think that would be really fun and interesting. Though, of course, if there's a character that you just want to see tripled really badly, let me know about that as well. The enemies just can't get to my turrets. Even, we need, like, increased turret range, because my turrets can't shoot them in time. We have this plus 37 harvesting here. I will take one more luck, but then I probably need to start building regeneration, because the elite is coming up faster than you might think. Let's go ahead and roll for more wrenches. Another wrench, and can we get one more? Nice. Perfect amount of money, so we managed to get 6 wrenches off the first 2 shops, which obviously is way more than most characters would get. Wrench is a very expensive weapon, so you usually don't get more than like 3 or 4 by the end of the first 2 shops. But with our massively increased harvesting, we have a better economy than most other characters. One thing that's actually working in our favor is the changes to the spawn location, the spawn code of turrets. You notice that they spawned in on top of each other and then like split apart. They did a sort of delta split. Because that's changed behavior in the beta, so turrets can no longer spawn directly on top of one another. That's actually helping us out a lot, because it means we get much improved coverage of the map, since our turrets can't spawn like all on top of each other in the middle and be unable to shoot enemies on the side. You know what? Let's make enemies even slower. What happens? So this is going to reduce enemy movement speed to -5% when we hit them 3 times. I don't know what's going to happen when that occurs. If this crashes the game, we'll probably just try to restart from the beginning of this wave. But I'm very curious as to what will happen. I'm going to take engineering here. I do want enough damage to kill enemies. Take turret, wrench, and broken mouth. Let's go ahead and lock this and buy the pencil. I do want to boost my movement speed. -33% is definitely lower than I would normally like. Do I want to do that with Terrified Onion? That's probably worth it. Luck is very good for this character, but we so badly need to boost our movement speed before we get to an elite wave. So we won't be able to tell, because enemies are dying before they get to the -33%, or to the -5% movement speed. Because they're going to have -105% movement speed, since they get 75 total from the old, right? -25 3 times. And then they're going to have -30 again. So they'll have -105% and be at -5% total. Genuinely do not know what'll happen. No enemies are surviving 3 hits to reach that level yet. So we won't know for a couple waves, but we will probably start finding out pretty soon. Take the lemonade here. I'll take the armor. Very important, given how hard it will be for us to avoid taking hits. Take the wrench. And I am actually just going to buy this whole shop. The snake doesn't do much for us right now, because we don't have any burning damage, but does work with the level 2 wrench. It works with the incendiary turret to spread the fire further. So it's still very good with incendiary turrets. And then let's roll. Take the book here, and go to wave 5. I think it won't be until the elite that we get to see an enemy with -5% movement speed. Maybe maybe like a rib cage we can hit a couple times, but they gain movement speed, so that might offset it. The fact that we are able to hit enemies 3 times with our wrenches will make that happen sooner as well. The vastly decreased number of enemies on the field mean that even with our huge harvesting buff, we're not actually making that much money. Like, we're making about as much money as a normal character would at this point. It's interesting how well the balance works on the economy, by the way. Even with this obviously not intended playstyle, where we're playing with this tripled character, the amount of money that we're getting per wave is actually working out about how it would with a normal character. Brotato's an oddly robust game in that sense, where things tend to be quite balanced, even if you make changes to the base, to a lot of the assumptions, as long as you don't change the numbers in the game, which I think is one of the testaments to like how good a job they did with balancing and developing this game. Let me re-roll here. I think we can do better. And engineering or regeneration. I do need healing, but I think I want the engineering first. I do want to increase the number of enemies on the field, because we have a -30% penalty to that right now. Oh wait, why is that showing as -5%? Oh right, because the GMO mod increases it by 25%. Okay, so that's getting offset quite a bit. Interesting, the GMO mod item. I might remove this item if I were balancing. So if you're looking for feedback, I might put a toggle for the existence of this balance item or not. Just because I think this item actually makes these runs easier than they should be in general, because a huge number of increased enemies is such a powerful bonus for the player. Here, we're going to go ahead and take a laser turret, I think, because we don't really want 3 incendiary turrets. And we'll definitely grab a scar. I'll take the blindfold, and I'll roll again. And then alien tongue. This will give us pickup radius that just extends across the whole map, so that'll be really fun. We'll take the alien tongue for sure. Every time I see that we start a wave and I see this map, I just laugh. It's so ridiculous. So you can see now that we are really having to use the knockback and the damage on our wrenches to keep enemies away from us, because there's just so many enemies in such a small space. And that will become a challenge as we continue to level up. Like, next level with the slashers, I am concerned about our ability to stay alive. We don't currently have any way to use elemental damage, so I could grab the boiling water on spec if we find a scared sausage or something that could help us out. But losing an HP for it doesn't seem good, so I'm going to pass on it for now. Let me roll here, and I'll just take more engineering. The range actually wouldn't be terrible. I should think more about range, because given how tiny the map is, even tiny increases in our range, even at half value, because we're using a melee weapon, is going to let our wrenches hit a vastly increased section of the map's total area. So I should actually buy range more aggressively on this ridiculous arena. Let's roll here. I will take an incendiary turret. Then we can mostly skip the level 2 turrets with our actual items. Also, just the more constructs we have on the field, the better. It will be hard for any of the slashers to actually hatch, because the eggs will have to spawn out of range of my turrets, and there's not a lot of area on the map that is described as out of range of my turrets. Okay, so we hit... So I hit that that loot alien 3 times and reduced its movement speed, and it did keep moving. So... And the game didn't crash. So enemies having negative movement speed, either it stacks multiplicatively and not additively, or enemies having negative movement speed doesn't just, like, stop them entirely. Maybe it gets added, like they get some bonus speed from something. I'm very interested in how that will affect things as well. Oh, I guess they go to 0%, right, because they have 5% bonus speed from the GMO item as well. So they go to 0% if we hit them 3 times. Take the injection here, and then I'm going to take 9% speed myself. That'll just make it a little easier to dodge the elite. Even minus 20% speed is better than minus 29. Take the incendiary turret. I'll take the broken mouth. Do I want the riposte? The damage from our actual wrenches is still a lot of our damage right now. And with 0 melee damage, the riposte return damage won't be that much, but maybe we could make that more in the future. I think I'm going to pass on it, but I will take Terrified Onion. I will roll here. We'll take the book. I will take the head injury. I do think taking some percentage damage for our wrenches isn't terrible, but for 56, I'm probably going to pass on it, actually. On the other hand, I will take the boxing glove. Knockback on this tiny arena, I think, is actually going to be quite useful. So you'll notice I've bought some, especially because of the buffs to knockback, which now my turrets will pull enemies away from me, because knockback now always moves enemies away from the player, regardless of the origination of the projectile. So if an enemy spawns between me and a turret, the turret will then actually pull the enemy towards itself and away from me. Yeah, so enemy movement speed being slowed by the ugly tooth doesn't really seem to be doing anything. I wonder if there's like a hard cap on how much enemies can be slowed, because they aren't moving slower, I don't think. After I hit them. They're already moving very slow, of course. It seems like maybe the devs included a failsafe on how much enemy movement speed can be slowed. There's just like a minimum amount. It's probably they can only move at a minimum of 100 units of speed or something like that. Here, I will take more armor. We're starting to take hits, so I definitely need the armor. Blood donation, very interesting item for us. We currently don't have the healing to support it, but 40 harvesting, of course, is very good. With 0 luck and 1 regeneration and only 32 HP, I do think blood donation is sadly too dangerous for us to pick at this point. If I had even like 4 more regeneration, I'd probably pick it. But I don't think that we can rely on consumables enough. We have 1 plus consumable heal, no gardens, no medical turrets, like no other way to heal. So I think that the blood donation is actually too dangerous for this build, unfortunately. Rare that I'll pass blood donation on wave 8 here, but just because we are on a tiny map, so it's hard for us to avoid taking damage, and we have no healing at all, basically, right now in this build. The blood donation, I think, is too risky. I am going to buy the snail, even though we want more movement speed just for science. I'm very curious to see what happens as enemy movement speed continues to decrease. And then we've already got an incendiary turret, so we're just going to level up to a level 3, roll here, and very happy to take a lure. Turret will be great as well. I think that getting the lure this wave and the turret next wave is better for us, but it's possible that because we're going into wave 9, I should have waited to buy the lure on wave 10 and just maximized my damage output for wave 9 to get the maximum wave clear. So maybe I should have locked the lure, bought the turret, but I think this way around is better. Just because of the tiny arena and our double laser turret, I'm not really that worried about my clear speed this wave. More about how many enemies spawn. I did push this loot alien away from my turrets, so I need to like try to shove it back into all of the turrets. That is a challenge that we're having. You'll notice, I think they added a minimum distance that constructs have to spawn away from the edge of the arena. So all of our turrets are clustered in the middle. We're sort of playing a pseudo-engineer with all our turrets clustered on top of one another. As it happens, I think we are generating enough consumables that we could have survived with the blood donation, but it would have been very close, so I don't think it would have been worth the risk. I take the scar here and the defective steroids for more HP, and then let's take some max speed and some more max HP, and that should put us in much better position to fight the elite. Take the turret, metal plate, and broken mouth for sure, and then we're going to roll. I will buy another wrench. I could have gone to an explosive turret. Actually, I should get an explosive turret as soon as I can, because it will cover such a huge proportion of the arena. Do I want percent damage? I think we're going to pass on percent damage. We haven't ended up with elemental damage or anything like that. No scared sausage or anything. And my wrenches are quickly going to fall off as damage tools, regardless of how much damage I buy. So I think we're going to just pass on that. I'll take the medical turret. We keep getting Terrified Onion as our move speed options, and I think at this point I want to pass on it. I do still want to build more luck, and we don't need move speed as badly as we did before. I'm going to take the pumpkin. Currently doesn't do anything for us, but if we find sharp bullet or other piercing shots, then which we will take very aggressively because we have all these turrets, then we'll be very, very happy to have picked up the pumpkin. So this is a bit of a speculative pick, but one that I'm pretty happy making. All right, well, I mean, I did want this to be an engineering run, but obviously we're not going to pass on a nuke launcher when the explosion will be the same size as the map. That's just too funny. So we're going to take the nuke launcher here. And I should have, I guess, bought some of that elemental damage and percentage damage that I passed on. The medical turret provides us a ton of safety as well, by the way. Just having a healing option before we go into the elite fight is going to be a really important moment for us. Still not convinced that I'm going to be able to beat the elite, by the way. Because a lot of attacks from elites don't have any way for you to... A lot of attacks from elites, you need move speed to avoid them. The small map will prevent us from dodging very easily, and they won't be slowed by this slowed enemy move speed. Like the slashes that they place under you aren't affected by enemy move speed. So those attacks, I think, are going to be quite dangerous for us. I don't want increased enemy health on wave 11. That seems very dangerous, and we already have plus 40% XP gain, so we're going to recycle the celery tea. I will take for regeneration, I think, because we currently have almost no healing, and I want some healing. Then I'm going to go ahead and buy the explosive turret and the nuke launcher. We will get another incendiary turret and another boxing glove, because more knockback seems really good. Very happy to see the fairy here going into the elite wave, because that will help us not die, even if we tank a bunch of hits. 8 armor, and we will have 20-ish regeneration, mid-20s regeneration. That should be good enough to keep us alive, so the fairy is definitely a gift that will help us out a ton. Alright. So the nuke launcher explosion doesn't currently cover the entire map, but if we find a plastic explosive or something, then it will. These poor rib cages, because we have so much knockback, they're just getting repeatedly shoved into the corner there. Very funny. I need some attack speed to go with this nuke launcher, and also just attack speed's good in general for this build, because it's useful to knock back enemies. Would love to see a pocket factory as well. Also, it was wave 11 where I was having crashes with the old GMO mod. I would crash every time on wave 11 when I tried double old. So it seems like this might be running more stably. Fingers crossed that we don't have more crashes going forward. Here, I'm going to roll, I think. I could take crit chance, but I think I'd rather roll for a stat we want more, in this case, armor. And then we will buy this entire shop. Can't quite afford it all in one go. So let's take the broken mouth and the propeller hat. Those are kind of defensive and economic stats more than the alien tongue is. And will hopefully help keep us alive against the elite. So what elite we get here is going to really affect what happens. So you can see that the slashes, not affected by enemy movement speed. Let me hit the elite a couple times. So this elite should be at 0% movement speed, by the way. Or minus 5% even, because we have the 3 hits on it from the ugly tooth, and the damage, the base minus 75% movement speed from the old, plus the plus 5% from the GMO mod, and then minus 5% again from the item that reduces enemy movement speed by 5, which I'm blanking on the name of at present. Looks like we won't quite kill the elite, we just don't quite have the damage to take it out. I just need a little more engineering damage to do so. Little bit sad that we didn't kill it, but it looks like we survived okay, and that's the important thing. And then here I'll take some movement speed to make it a little easier. I'll take 3 range damage. That buffs our nuke launcher quite a bit, so I'm gonna pick that up. And then Baby with a Beard will also be very funny. So let's definitely buy that, I think, just because it's so funny to have those projectiles bouncing around in such a small map. Even if they don't do a lot of damage. Oh, okay, we're definitely taking Ricochet, we're definitely taking Coil. Ricochet's damage reduction will reduce the damage, but it does work with the projectiles from your turrets, so we're gonna get a ton of bouncing shots all over the map, and that's very funny to me as well. The number 1 item that I want at this point is a plastic explosive. The enemies are just so slow, they're not coming back into range of my turret quickly enough. And the turrets, because they refuse to spawn right next to the edge of the arena, don't cover the whole arena. So we're gonna need more turrets, and maybe a pocket factory to spawn them from trees. Although I have wondered if the small arena size is causing fewer trees to spawn. Because it has seemed like there are fewer trees. and I don't know if it's because the game is kind of hunting around for a place to spawn a tree that doesn't have like a bunch of stuff in it and then can't find it. Obviously, we're going to get some weird behavior with this setup, so who knows what's going on under the hood. Take the sharp bullet here, and then I will take 15 luck. And we're going to buy all of these. Losing the range damage is obviously painful, but the bonus healing from the cute monkey will be very important. But I do want the coil, because this gives us a bunch of extra damage and more knockback, and the projectile piercing and bounce. This is also why we bought the pumpkin. The snail, of course, is the item I was thinking of earlier. Dynamite, excellent. We have a lot of explosive damage, so we're going to pick that up. I don't know if we're going to survive the Wave 14 Elite, and I'm pretty sure we won't be able to kill it, because we haven't actually increased our damage output that much since Wave 12, but we will do our level best. Just going to drink some water here. And going to Wave 14. Trying to put some damage on this thing, but it's so slow and it won't go into my turrets that I think we just are not going to be able to kill it. Even with the incendiary turret, which is the highest DPS turret, focusing it, I just don't think we quite have the damage output. I need my engineering to be much higher. Maybe once we have the dynamite, we'll be able to kill elites. As is, though, this one's not that dangerous because it just spawns a bunch of things and moves slowly at you. So this won't be the most dangerous enemy for us. It does create these circles, but since it's not actually chasing at us, we can just stay still because it doesn't put the circles right under you. So unless you walk into them, it doesn't do damage. And normally it threatens you by running at you, but it's so slow that we're not under any threat from it in that way. Attack speed I do want, but I don't want to reduce my knockback because we have coil and a lot of knockback synergy, so we're actually going to recycle the banner there. And then let's go ahead and just take 12% damage. My percent damage is very low, so I do want to boost that. We'll take these items. Baby with a beard, not because it's good, but just because it's funny. And we'll take the Pocket Factory here. I will cap my speed at -4. Obviously, I'd like to improve it more than that, but -4 speed, I think, is fine, given what we've seen so far. Although, for the bosses, where there's 2 of them, maybe that'll be a real problem. I hope to have enough defensive stats to just tank them by the time we get there. Then, of course, we're going to buy Pocket Factory, and our HP is low enough that I think Stone Skin will be really good on this build, so we'll pick that up as well. Love the ricochet, baby with a beard, all the projectiles going everywhere. Everything's bouncing and piercing. I'm a little confused about the nuke launcher, though. We seem to only be getting 1 explosion, and usually when you have piercing and bouncing shots, you get multiple explosions. Okay, there we got 2. We got 2 nuke launcher explosions, like 1 here and 1 there. So I guess we're just missing a lot. Bean Teacher, we don't want. This is already, we already have plus 40%, and this is quite late in the run. And then I will take more luck. That's just more healing for us. We'll definitely buy all of these that we planned to. I'm gonna pass on Baby Elephant. Actually, I guess this is another way to just deal some random damage, and not bad for us in that way. I'll take the Wrench here as an upgrade, and then Fried Rice will be great for us. With 3 incendiary turrets, there will always be a lot of burning enemies, so that's a lot of regeneration. The incendiary turret burn does count for the fried rice. So as long as there's enemies alive on the field, we'll be getting value out of that. Fried rice, I think, is intended primarily as an elemental build item, but works actually very well for engineering builds, or just any character that's bought a random incendiary turret, which is a purchase that I think a lot more characters can make than you might think. Incendiary Turret, even with no engineering, does quite good wave clear in the early waves, so any character that's struggling a bit with wave clear can make use of an early Incendiary Turret to help them kill enemies, especially on waves like 7 through 9, if you happen to find one relatively early. So a lot of builds will end up with a random Incendiary Turret, and then if you buy Fried Rice in the late game, that random Incendiary Turret can translate to like plus 10 regeneration, which is a really good item to have. Yep, we'll take another one, speaking of Incendiary Turret, and then I'm going to take Armor over the elemental damage. I would take more engineering, because I do want to get my DPS high enough to actually kill the elites and bosses, but for now, I think we're just going to focus on having more defensive stats and everything so we can survive. And elemental damage, despite working with our nuke launcher, isn't a huge bonus to our damage output. Still hoping for a plastic explosive above just about everything. The Pocket Factory will help a lot when we're trying to kill the elite. It's just like a 3 or 4 more sources of damage on it, depending on how many trees we get. But I do really need to find more engineering in order to make that a possibility, because right now I have a lot of turrets, but they're individually shooting for such small amounts of damage that it just doesn't add up to enough to actually kill the elites. I will take the bait here. Yes, we're going into an elite wave, but all the lampreys are going to spawn like right on top of me anyways and just die to my turret, so we're not at all threatened by that. And then I will take armor over 12% damage. Again, I would probably take engineering, but armor is going to be our best way to just survive this elite, which I think is going to be the plan. Here, I can take jelly for another 2 max HP for 66. I think that's worth it. We'll just pick that up. I would really like to combine and get rid of at least one of these turrets also. This is the elite that I was most worried about seeing. This is going to be really, really dangerous and difficult to dodge. We have a lot of regeneration, and a lot of armor, so we might be able to survive. But this is certainly the most dangerous elite for us because we're so slow and we cannot move away from those attack patterns. The circle is actually a much easier attack pattern for us to avoid because I can just move like this and constantly dodge it. The pattern of attack spawning underneath us was much, much more dangerous to us. We're so close to killing it also. If I had found like 5 more engineering, we'd have been able to kill it. Also, probably if I'd focused on damaging it with my actual wrench attacks, yeah, we were so close. If I had just focused on damaging it with my wrench attacks in the second half of the wave, then I'd have been able to kill it. I didn't even really think of it because the first half of the wave was so difficult. I was having to dodge so much, and that I was just like, okay, we're just in survival mode. But of course, with the elite in such a small area, where it was always going to be being damaged by my turrets, I could maybe have adjusted midway through. That's often a good way to lose, though, is changing your intended plan for killing an elite halfway through the wave, so I think this was still probably the right decision, but it's possible that we could have killed it. Probable that we could have killed it, as long as I didn't die in the attempt. Spicy sauce should be fun. This is another explosion that'll cover the whole map. So let's do that and go to wave 19. I'm very much concerned about the bosses. We have a decent amount of regeneration. We've got this medical turret, but we're not going to be able to kill them, and there are 2 of them. As we've seen, the enemies, despite being slowed a lot, are not slowed so much that they don't attack you at all, and their charges still come at you and everything. And the enemies' projectiles are not affected, or some types of projectiles are not affected by enemy movement speed. decreases. So the slashes and the like circular projectiles, I think, will not be. So it will be pretty hard for us to dodge next wave. Got 3 crates this wave, so hopefully we get something that helps out. I would take like a sad tomato. I'd just take any level 1 items that we don't have. Ooh, Giant's Belt. We have only 5% crit chance, so I don't think we're going to be able to kill the elite, but maybe we'll give it a shot. Plastic Explosive is huge for us. 5% more crit chance. Is this going to make it likely that we actually kill the elite? Our structures can't crit. If we do find Pile of Books in this exact shop, then 5% more crit chance will mean we basically are guaranteed to kill the bosses, because Giant's Belt plus critical hitting structures is such a powerful combination. I think that's worth speculating on. Looks like we missed, but that's okay. Here, I think I should combine to the laser turrets, because 4 incendiary turrets just doesn't do anything. We don't want the head injury. I do want the compass, because the increased engineering might allow us to kill the elites, and the move speed is important still. Let me roll here, and I'll take another spicy sauce, and we will take a wrench, and then we're going to go to wave 20 and see what happens. No idea if we can actually fight the bosses at all. As you can see, their attacks are not affected in any way by the enemy slowing, or are mostly not affected by the enemy slowing. And we're going to get them both to their quite dangerous stage 2 quite early. So this is just going to be a lot of dodging. It looks like we don't quite have the damage to kill them. Maybe if I'd had like a little more critical hit chance, we could have with the Giant Belt. Normally I like to focus the Octopus Head boss first, but we've ended up focusing the Squid Face boss. So I am going to see if I can kill it just by hitting it a bunch with my weapons if possible. This is mostly for the critical hit percentage-based damage from Giant's Belt. Though 10 damage here and there doesn't hurt. Alright, we got 1. So we were able to kill the first boss. Can we kill the second one? It looks like we might be able to. And this, even with the projectiles moving just as fast as they normally do, the boss itself being so slow made that a much easier prospect to dodge than I was expecting. So that run was a little easier than I thought it would be when I saw the size of the map, just because it hadn't really sort of sunk in for me how much of the threat of those elites is their actual bodies moving at rapidly towards you, compared to how much of the threat is their projectiles and stuff that they put on the ground. And we prioritized defensive stats very heavily, so we ended with 20 armor and 30 regeneration, which of course was very important to our victory there. Well, that was an awesome run. Thank you again to Thomas Morris for putting together the updated GMO mod. Let me take a look at our economy items. We actually got no economy items in the early stages. It wasn't until these scars, which I think was like wave 8. So we got a lure that was pretty nice, and the Giant's Belt only dealt 6k actually, so it wasn't that instrumental in winning the boss fight. Our spicy sauces dealt 2k. Yeah, so mostly that was just our weapon damage. The nuke launcher dealt 16,000 in that wave, but the weapon damage from our wrenches and the just damage from our turrets and everything enabled us to kill the bosses. That was a really fun run. I recommend this run. Try out the mod yourself. I'll put a link in the description. I don't know how long this mod will stay working, because of course this is still a beta update, or the game's still in beta, so it will be receiving frequent updates, which might break the mod. So I'm going to try to record a bunch of these over the next couple days, and then I'll keep posting them, so that even if the mod stops working, then we will have a bunch of these GMO videos. So thank you again, my friends, for watching. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a comment, hit thumbs up, because of course those things help with the algorithm. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Brotato and other strategy games. Cheers, my friends. I'll catch you next time.